Okay, we're ready. Thank you all for
All,
joining us.
all right. Good morning, everyone. Hope all is well. Antoine Thompson, Greater Washington Region Clean Cities Coalition. Welcome to our International Biodiesel Day event. We're going to talk about the benefits of biodiesel, how it can help with the environment, help in medium and heavy duty vehicles, some of the great work that we have been doing for many, many years to promote low carbon fuels in the transportation sector, which plays a significant role. Um, Transportation plays a significant role in pollution and its negative impact on public health and that thing called climate change as well. So we're excited. We managed a number of clean transportation projects, but two biodiesel projects as well. You'll hear about that today. We have an amazing group of speakers today for you. We are encouraging every municipality, local government in the DC region to use diesel for your low to medium fuels. So we'll be hearing more about that. I'll mention that now that we are we have a resolution that will be circulating right after Labor Day. We're fine tuning a 2-year campaign, and we're going to try to get as many local governments in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area to really use biodiesel as opposed to traditional diesel for their off-road equipment and especially for their medium to heavy duty trash trucks, other bucket trucks, etc. So let's look at that, and we'll have a resolution for you, and you can get your local town board or your county council or your municipality to pass this resolution that says that by July 1st of 2026, that they will be moving aggressively towards using biodiesel as opposed to traditional diesel. So let's make that happen, everyone. We can do that together. I want to also mention that on Thursday, this Thursday, August 14th, we will have our monthly industry meeting. We'll have two amazing speakers. One is Jim Dankowski from Eaton Corporation. He will be giving some remarks. We'll also hear from
Oh, I can't hear you, Antoine. Your mic is muted.
yeah.
There we go.
Well, okay, we'll also hear from LaKendra McNair, who we'll also talk about corporate responsibility and ESG priorities for their organizations to promote the environment, promote good governance, but also promote social goals as well. So that will be on this Thursday at 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. as well. So without further, last thing I'm going to mention is make sure that you register for our annual conference, which will take place on October 23rd as well. It'll take October 23rd, will be held at Martin's Crosswinds in Greenbelt, Maryland. You can register today. We'll make sure we put both of those events in the chat as well. So without further ado, I'd like to turn this over to our very own Burrow Hakewood, who is the resident expert on our team. He's also he works a lot on partner relations and fuel technology and in a lot of our biofuels projects. He's also on the team of SESI, who you'll hear from later. He's going to moderate this panel. He's also working on our Maryland Biofuels Task Force, and he's also working on our expansion into Northern Virginia. So he's a man of many talents. And so welcome, Burl, the floor is yours. Thank you for being here and moderating the panel.
Thank you, Antoine. And what day is it? Oh, happy International Biodiesel Day. So we are going to think global and act local. Biodiesel saving lives, money, and farms, one more gallon at a time. Our discussion today is going to focus on technology deployment, and funding the development of technology and deployment. So to create some context and local perspectives for today's panel, I'll share some preliminary information from the Maryland Biofuels Task Force that the GWRCC is coordinating. There's four main drivers, which are the total societal economic, energy, environmental, and personal security benefits of alternative transportation fuels, all of them. GWRCC is technology neutral and is promoting all those fuels, and all these apply to biofuels. So those buckets are energy security. Maryland does not produce crude oil, gasoline, or alternative fuels, nor does it have a strategic fuel reserve. Why are biofuels important? From 2017 to 2022, Maryland lost over 12,000 acres of farmland. So increasing the production and use of biofuels can help sustain the value of farmland, reduce farmland loss, and lower carbon emissions compared to converting that farmland to commercial use. So it is more food, more fuel, and more fiber. Okay, sorry about that. Economic security. The increased global supply of biomass-based diesel reduces diesel prices by 8 to 19% annually, and 1 to 4% of that decreases because of domestic production. A 2025 study by the Transportation Energy Institute shows that rising fuel prices hit the freight industry hard, which has an economic impact on shipping rates, trucking costs, and ultimately the price for consumers pay. Environmental security. 1 gallon of biodiesel has about 70% less carbon than a gallon of diesel. Why is that important to Prince George's County? According to Maryland's Climate Action Plan, there's a 9% shortfall in meeting their carbon reduction goals. So this is an immediate way to add decarbonization to every gallon, every vehicle that runs on diesel in Maryland. And then there's personal security. Trinity Consultant study found that switching to 100% biodiesel in Washington could reduce asthma symptoms by nearly 13,000 incidents annually. And a switch to nationwide 100% biodiesel could avoid over $7 billion in healthcare costs. So how do we achieve that with technology? So Scott Offerman is the head of marketing for Optimus Technology. He's with us today. He brings a deep expertise in launching sustainable transportation solutions, advancing clean energy adoption, because Optimus Technology is a leader in decarbonizing commercial transportation. And they've revolutionized that with a proven bolt-on technology that upgrades diesel engines to run seamlessly on 100% biodiesel, cutting carbon fleet emissions by up to 95%. So, Scott, tell us how you're doing that and give us an overview of what you guys are doing. Thank you.
Please unmute.
Perfect. There we are. So yeah, the way we do it here at Optimus Technologies is we put together a solution to allow today's modern diesel engines to run on B100. The idea behind it really started with our founder, Colin Heiler, who had a challenge back in 2010 to run a Volkswagen Jetta TDI on biodiesel. It was a project, he took it on, and ever since then, and since 2010, we've found ourselves really at the forefront of allowing these diesel engines to run on clean B100. So the technology itself, it's pretty straightforward. We're basically a dual fuel system would be the easiest way to put it. So the truck can run on regular diesel to get warmed up and get started. And then most of its work will be done on biodiesel. So 80 to 90% of its workload will be handled while it's running on that B100. What this provides is obviously cleaner transportation. It also provides for us the opportunity to go out and work with some of our partners to really get out. And I'm currently in Decatur, Illinois, doing a ride and drive to really spread what we're doing here to get those get the carbon reduction and decarbonize these larger fleets that are out there. So, you know, it's basically a four-part system. We do have a biodiesel tank. We have the brains of the operation that we call our ECU or our manifold. And then we have a couple of pieces of technology under the hood that allows us to select between biodiesel and diesel. So one of the biggest things today with today's OEMs is that they only allow you to run on basically 20% biodiesel is your mix. So it's going to be 80% diesel and 20% biodiesel. With our system, our upgraded fuel system, they can run even older used diesel engines on 100% biodiesel. What's really nice about the technology, we found some larger fleets that were early adopters, and they're finding great success with it. If I were to say what's something that we like to watch out for, it's obviously temperature. You know, as we start talking about biodiesel, temperature, it's very sensitive to temperature. So we've created within our engineering team ways to keep the biodiesel flowing, as we like to say. And we're seeing great success with companies like, you know, some of these larger fleets, PepsiCo, ADM Trucking, and there's a few others that are out there, Covenant, and a few other, even some of our DPWs. We've worked with the city of Ames in Iowa. We've also done the water trucks for DC that are running on our Optimus Technologies vector system. And the vector system is really what allows these trucks, these diesel engines to run on 100% biodiesel.
Scott, can you tell us a little bit about your the first 100, the B100 station, that project with ADM, Pepsi, Optimus, and Pilot?
Absolutely. So back in April, I'm actually about 2 miles away from that fueling station. You know, obviously being readily available is something that B100 has to do for it to get adoption across the U.S. And so Pilot opened their first commercial fueling station in Decatur, Illinois, about 2 miles away from where I'm at right now, in partnership with PepsiCo. And Pilot, as they continue to open these stations, they've opened in Des Moines, Iowa, in Urbandale. And then we're getting ready to cut the ribbon in Dallas, Texas, for their third installment for a commercially available B100 pump. I think as we look at partnerships and how we can go at this together, we needed ADM, we need PepsiCo, we need to push, obviously here for this webinar, to show that there are some sustainability goals we can achieve very easily with B100, because it does help our farmers. I grew up as a dairy farmer, I was a third gen, and to see what it can do for our farmers, we're finding that in the heart of our country, it really is coming from the fields that they till and they work every day. And it's the backbone of how we grew up, or how I grew up. So to see all these partnerships and everybody really wanting to achieve this decarbonization goal, it really takes a true team effort. It can't be just, you know, we can't just put together a vector system and say we're good. We need all the other support that comes from some of these other trucking companies, including, you know, ADM, PepsiCo, Covenant, and then obviously Pilot to be the fuel supplier.
And can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing with Honda as far as OEMs and how you're getting some traction there?
Yeah, I'd say with Honda, we're in our early stages there. But what we're seeing is they're recognizing what the advantages of running on B100 would be. So the decarbonization, the cutting of the carbon emissions is really something that globally everybody's working hard to get to that point. So we're seeing more and more of these OEMs like Honda that want to start implementing those transportation solutions so that they can say and look and see what the benefit is of running B100.
And so I've always tried to figure out, where's the carbon, where's the money, as part of this economic security part. How are you and your customers capturing the value of carbon? I see it at $5 somewhere, $50 in California, and $150 in Europe. Is there a way to capture that value and bring that home?
So there is a capture, of the value. The easiest way for us is we track the usage through our telematics system. We call it our customer dashboard, and that allows us to have telematics on the vehicles to show how much B100 they've actually used during their trips. So at the end of the day, they can calculate what their carbon savings is or their reduction. And that'll help them in the long run. And that's where, we start talking about numbers. Every state has a little bit different number for their carbon credits. So I kind of leave that to our other division, but we're able to track and manage and give the customer literally a readout of how much carbon they've saved on a daily basis if they want that.
Great. And we've got a lot of people on the webinar here that are passionate about alternative fuels and what GWRCCC is doing. How can the stakeholder community help you? What is it that you can reach? Help us help you.
Yeah, I have to say this webinar is just one of them, right? The more and more we talk about it, B100, it's just collectively, if you bring it full circle, you're taking what might have been a waste oil, vegetable oils and fats and feedstocks, and we're turning that into the fuel that's going to move the next load to the grocery store. So whether we're working in DPWs, we're working with any of the cities and local governments, I think the more and more we create buzz and just talk about it, I think it gains legs and credibility. And credibility is one of those things that really we need to manage a little bit better. As a team on my end, is to go out there and let people see what we do, test it, touch it, feel it, and see that when it comes to drivability of the product, there really isn't a difference. You're just, every mile you're putting on, you're decarbonizing. You're saving the air that we breathe and the future of America.
Great. Thank you very much. Is there any questions in the chat room before we move on?
No questions.
Okay, thank you. So let's talk about, we've got some technology. How do we get it deployed and how do we deploy that locally? And our next speaker is Dr. Efan Pathy. What you have to help me out there, Doctor. He's the Chief of Planning and Innovation for the Department of Public Works and Transportation for Prince George's County, which has a very significant air pollution problem. So he draws on 2 decades of public sector experience. He currently leads the transportation planning and innovation at Public Works in PG County. His responsibilities include evaluating, developing, and executing transit planning and policy, managing grant programs, and guiding strategic initiatives. A key aspect of his role is fostering partnerships and collaborations with various agencies and stakeholders, like we're doing now, and to champion innovative transportation solutions. And he is a champion for environmental justice, and what they're doing has an impact on air quality and improving people's lives and air quality every day. Doctor?
Yeah.
Yours.
They said Efan can't make it today. He can't make it today. We need to go to the next speaker.
Okay. And I think our next speaker will be able to tell you a little bit about that project as they worked on the project as well. Jill Hamilton is the president of Sustainable Energy Strategies. Sustainable Energy Strategies is like the McDonald's or the McGrants of federal and state funding circles. And they have over $200 billion served in helping develop the alternative fuels infrastructure EVs, biofuels, and working at the federal and state level for more than 20 years. They write, manage grants for federal programs and clients, uh, including business plans, project management, and technical support. So it's sort of a one-stop shop. And Jill can give you an overview of not only biodiesel, but what Prince George's County is doing, other projects in DC government, and show you how we're going to develop and accelerate both the technology and the deployment. Jill?
Thanks, Pearl. And I do have some slides today, so hopefully we can put those up. As Pearl said, I'm Jill Hamilton. I'm president of Sustainable Energy Strategies. I'm also chair of the Greater Washington Region Clean Cities Coalition. Very proud to represent all of you stakeholders, and really happy to be here on International Biodiesel Day. As those who know me, it's close to my heart. But as Pearl said, we're here to help you, and our specialty tends to be federal funding and finding access to that. And we're going to talk about how you might be able to access that. Next slide. Just this is a picture of our team. Of course, Burl is one of our employees as well. We're small but mighty. We've raised over $1 billion, and most of that has been federal, although some of it's state. And we're going to talk about a couple examples. Next slide. So just to level set, most of the people on the call probably know what these fuels are, but I've been surprised when I go into federal agencies and they don't know the difference between biodiesel and ethanol. So I'm going to just mention that the Clean Fuels, I'm here on behalf of as well, the Clean Fuels Alliance America is one of my I'm a key consultant to that coalition, that trade organization, and they represent biodiesel, renewable diesel, and sustainable aviation fuel. And so these are domestically produced from renewable resources, and they can be used immediately in ground, rail, marine, and air transport, and as well as home heating oil. So there's a variety of applications, and many of which are not necessarily fully developed for other technologies. And so that's a good place for liquid biofuels. They can be either a replacement of petroleum-based fuel or clean fuels, and or displace them. So they can either fully replace them, as you heard from Scott a moment ago, or you can use them as a drop-in. And there are cost savings, lower emissions, economic benefits, and air quality benefits. And we're going to talk briefly about them, but happy to answer any questions. So how are they made? As Scott said, they're ag waste products. They're wastes, they're residues. They're made from soybean oil, canola oil, animal plats, corn oil, and winter oilseed crops, cooking oil, and even woody biomass. Although both biodiesel and renewable diesel are made from similar materials, they are derived from different processes. Can you bounce to the next slide? And I'm going to talk briefly about this, and then we'll get into the funding. So biodiesel is a transesterification process, the chemical reaction, and it must meet ASTM spec D6751. Although there is discussion about merging biodiesel and the diesel spec. We'll see if that happens, but it's not yet there. So renewable diesel is a hydrocracked process. So they operate the same in the vehicles, more or less, but renewable diesel is classified the same as ASTM D975, which is diesel fuel spec. And sustainable aviation fuel is also a hydrocracked process using those same oils and fats, but it's just refined a little bit further and must meet D7566. So they are similar, but yet different. Okay, next slide. And so that I think Scott mentioned this briefly, but just to put it in context, these fuels reduce emissions by 70%. Sometimes biodiesel is even much higher, as much as 84% reduction in carbon emissions compared to petroleum diesel. and these clean fuels have a huge impact on jobs. They generate over about almost 110,000 jobs and about 42 billion in economic development or opportunities for farm workers, producers, and distributors. Scott mentioned lowering the price at the pump. Clean Fuels mentions about 4% impact, driving down the overall cost of diesel fuel. If biodiesel went away, we'd see an increase at the pump. Same thing with the health savings, about 7.5 billion in health savings, based on that Trinity study research. And that's fewer cases of asthma, sick days, cancer, and that's what we're all driving. What we want is improved healthcare, better lives, and better environment. Okay, next slide. So let's talk about grants. Go ahead and jump to the next slide. This is just an overview of the grants I'll talk about. I'm not going to spend too much time here, but let's go to the next slide. So everybody keeps asking me about the higher blend infrastructure incentive grants. So under the IRA funding, there was about $500 million available for biodiesel and ethanol infrastructure. Those grants are playing out right now. If you have one and haven't finished your paperwork, get that paperwork in, finish your environmental paperwork. This project was not rescinded under the Big Beautiful Bill. But as far as the next round, we haven't heard of a next round, although there is about 100 million that resides under the Commodity Credit Corporation for this program. So we will see. Probably not likely to see this before the end of September, so it'll probably roll into next year. If you're interested in this program, talk to your state legislator, let them know you want this program. Certainly express an interest in it. Ask me about it. Happy to talk about it. And there's about up to, if it were to drop, the program typically allows up to $5 million grants. And you have to match that dollar for dollar unless you're a small retailer, less than 10 stations, or home heating oil distributor, and that's a 75% match. Well, you come up with 25%, the federal government comes up with 75%, and you usually have 36 months. So I'm hopeful to see this grant program come back around, but it's not open at the moment. Okay, next slide. So who can apply for HBIP when it does become available? Transportation fueling facilities. This will be our fleets that are on the call today, or public refueling, municipalities. And then the fuel distribution facilities are your home heating oils, your middle marketers, those that service the fleets or the retailers. Home heating oils, for those that might be on the call, they do not have, they're going to fall into that fuel distribution facility. They don't have a cap on costs, but our transportation fueling facilities will have a cap. I think it's $200,000 per diesel tank and about 67,000. I think it's 67,000 for our dispensers. All right, next slide. All right, you can go ahead and bounce through these bullet points here. Yes, if we were to have one drop, you'd need to organize a team, somebody to write it. But I'm putting this out here because if you want to get any federal funding, you need to register on sam.gov. Hopefully, if you're a municipality, you're already registered. You need to find out what that unique UEI identification is in order to apply for funding. With the HBIP grant, you have to register for EOF. It's another step in the process. You also have to know the scope and budget of your project and be familiar with filling out the environmental questionnaire. And I've left in here the HBIP website so you can take a look at it so that you are ready for the next time that grant drops. The 4-page environmental questionnaire is on there. Okay, next slide. So the Rural Energy for America program, this is for our small businesses and rural ag producers in rural locations. What is rural? Rural is less than 50,000 people. So Eastern Shore, Western Maryland, Southern Virginia, if we're talking about the DMV area. So not Northern Virginia, not DC, unfortunately. So this program does provide both loans and grants. and the grants cover up to 40% of an eligible project, and it can be energy efficiency improvements up to $500,000 maximum, or a renewable energy system. I've had biodiesel producers use this. I've had retail facilities use this. And you can put solar on a building. You could put new lighting in a system. There's a variety of things. In order to be classified as an ag producer, if there happens to be any on here, I doubt there are, but if there happen to be, you have to have at least 50% of your income coming from agriculture. All right, next slide. Examples are new boilers. I've had some biodiesel producers do this. Any industrial operation that's rural can use this for some of these things, the heating and air conditioning systems, new refrigeration systems, kitchens. And again, I mentioned the solar array and biodiesel. And there's a link to the program on there you can come back to. Next slide, please. So Optimus, we've worked with them many times on these diesel emission reduction clean diesel grants. There's a nice little list here of some of the projects that we've done. He mentioned Des Moines. We did a project with Iowa DOT under the DERA program. This program, it comes up usually every other year. We anticipate that there will be one this coming year. This program has a lot of bipartisan support. There's typically on any given year, there's about 60 million available nationally and 26 million available through states. The states tend to determine how they want to spend that. So biodiesel may or may not be eligible under this program. And the way we've been able to be successful is to go after older dirty diesel vehicles. And there are fewer and fewer of those on the road. It's getting harder and harder to apply under here for the Optimus B100 system, but it's been very successful. So you have to take vehicles that are older than 2009 typically and take them off the road, retire them, scrap them, and replace them with new vehicles. Typically in a non-attainment area, but that's not necessarily a be-all end-all because they have to spend money regionally. Let's go to the next slide. The use of DERA funds. You must use EPA verified technologies and certified engines. So in order to use this, as I mentioned, we usually replace a dirty diesel with a new diesel vehicle that helps us achieve those emissions reductions. And then we use the Optimus system to get that vehicle to run on B100. We've placed over 155 B100 vehicles in the DC area through DPW, DC Water, and DDOT. And if Efan was on the call today, he'd be talking about how he's used it in his fleet as well. You can do any class 5 through 8 heavy duty vehicles. So on-road, off-road, locomotive, school buses, marine, you name it, a variety. If you're a private fleet owner and want to apply, you need to apply through somebody like GWR, CCC, a nonprofit that has access to the funds. And I think a lot of our dirty diesels are still in a lot of private hands. And so we're going to encourage EPA to consider giving out more private funding opportunities in this space. Next slide. So the MIRAD program is open right now. It closes September 10th. This is the Port Infrastructure Development Program. We've had some folks take advantage of this to build out infrastructure for biodiesel at terminals. It's a way to, the focus of this program is goods movement and safety, resiliency, any kind of you can even do microgrids or other types of upgrades or retrofits at ports. But we've had folks do it to gain better access to ports, port docks, as well as storage and distribution of biodiesel products. So, and then they have a small port program as well, small shipyard program that isn't open now, but these are typically usually annual programs, so you can count on it for next year. Next slide. Consolidated Rail Infrastructure and Safety, commonly known as CRISI program. This is closed too, but this is typically an annual program, and it provides an opportunity for rail to do relocation or improvement projects. These are capital projects. I've also seen overhauling locomotives that can run on biodiesel on this program. Next slide. I'm going to move into our state programs. Right now, this program, the Pennsylvania AFIG program, is open right now. It's due October 10th. You have plenty of time. It's not a heavy lift to get this application in. There's about $5 million available. Grants are capped at 500 to 300,000, depending on what you apply as. So the 500,000 is for multiple entities applying collectively, and the 300,000 for a single applicant. The eligible fuels are you know, any of the alternative fuels, but biodiesel, ethanol, advanced biofuels are eligible, and we're anticipating some successful announcements for biodiesel under this past round. What does the grant cover? It covers vehicle upfitting, the incremental costs of that, such as the Optimus system that you heard Scott talk about. So 300,000 would get you like 9, 12, you know, depending on how much the systems cost for your unit. You know, about 11, 12 units potentially of the Optimus system. And then refueling infrastructure is eligible, but it's for only non-heavy duty. So you can't use it for biodiesel. We are discussing it with them, and hopefully next round that will include, we will be eligible to apply for the refueling infrastructure. We hope next round. They have already announced that the next round will be in January. So if you're missing this October deadline, there will be another opportunity. Next slide. All right. And I saw Natalie Buscemi on the call today. This is Maryland Energy Administration's FY26 programs. They have a variety of energy efficiency programs. The one that we've had success with, and if Efan were on the call, he'd be talking about the Open Energy Innovation Grant, the last one listed here, where they applied as a environmental justice area, a municipality, to use these funds to do hard to decarbonize long transit bus routes running on B100. I think he upfitted 6 buses and the refueling facility. So that I think they got, don't quote me, it is between $200,000 and $300,000 on that particular grant to do that demonstration. Typically, grants are capped at 200, although there is some discretion to go above that if the project warrants it and must have it to be successful. Next slide. All right, so there are a couple of funding incentives that aren't grants that you should know about, but they have some limitations. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So under the Big Beautiful Bill, they are phasing out the alternative fuel vehicle funding and tax credit opportunities. This is expiring June 30th, 2026. So if you do put in biodiesel refueling infrastructure, and you're a tax-paying entity, or you're working with somebody who's a tax-paying entity that can take advantage of this, there is a 30% depreciable cost for items up to 100,000. And so you actually could pool more than one item to get more than $100,000, and it's fairly significant. But all of the alternative fuels fit under there: natural gas, propane, hydrogen, electricity, etc. Ethanol, biodiesel. But there are some nuances to it. Next slide, please. Thanks. There are some eligibility requirements. I haven't checked to see if the Big Beautiful Bill eliminated these restrictions, but I think because they're phasing it out, those are still in play. Next slide. Under the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act, they did establish a new tax credit for biodiesel producers. They changed it from a blender's credit to a producer's credit. We're in that phase now of 45Z, and it's about $1 tax credit for biodiesel, renewable diesel, and SAF, RIN, production, renewable natural gas, etc. But you have to have at least 50% reduction in carbon to start taking advantage of that credit, and it phases up to $1, depending on how much you reduce your tax, reduce your carbon. So something to watch out for. And the RINs value is also something that fluctuates. And the proposed renewable volumes for moving forward are significantly higher than in prior years. So we're anticipating that the RIN will adjust to make up for any offset on the cost of biodiesel. So we're hopeful that it'll stay the same in the marketplace, and that's our expectation. So, and last slide is my contact information. If you have any questions about this, either grant writing or any of the funding opportunities, please reach out. Happy to help out. And that's it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Jill.
I should mention one other thing, that FON with Prince George's County did work with Maryland Soybean Board as well to raise some money for his project. And that is something that anybody on the call, whether they're in Maryland or otherwise, you can work with your local state soybean association to help offset some costs. They may be a good partner for you. If nothing else, they'll help market and promote your program too. That's it on funding. Hope I didn't take too long.
No, not when it comes to money. So thank you for showing us the money, Jill.
You're welcome.
What are the top 3 challenges that companies or organizations face when they're trying to determine a grant strategy? Is it technical? Is it time? Is it money? Is it grant management?
Oh my goodness, that's a tough one.
All the above.
I think folks have a hard time pinning down their budget. So I think also folks have had trouble gaining access to the online portals. You need to make sure that you're registered for these federal funding. The state's a little easier typically, but federal funding, you have to get a SAMS account, and you have to, it takes a minute. So you gotta go through that and keep it up to date. If you expire, you have to do it again. So that's a simple hurdle. It's a technical hurdle, but it's not mind blowing. So just get it done and maintain it. That's one. I don't know if I answered your question or not, but hopefully.
No, that was great. So in light of the legislative rollbacks and budget cutbacks, what are innovative ways that people are coming up with to fund the continued development of technology and deployment? There seems to be sort of a gap here, or some questions on where that's going to come. Are people getting innovative? How are we seeing states
Sure.
sort of take the torch?
The mission still stays the same. We all still want to better our communities and meet the needs. Without a lot of this federal funding, we are going to have to get resourceful. It may also mean that we aren't going to see as much electrification as we did in the past, and that may create an opportunity for biodiesel. If you don't want to invest in the infrastructure, you can use it in a low-level blend. But if you have access to some of these state grants or advocate for some of these state grants, every state has a trade organization that is, you've got a Clean Cities program such as GWRCCC in most states that can advocate for these programs. I know Antoine's doing it here to create opportunities. We need to talk with the folks that manage these funds and let them know what the barriers are. I know Antoine was on a call earlier this week talking to EPA about the DARA program, for example, and how to make it simpler. So there is funding out there. We just need to be aware of how we can rebrand ourselves to fit with what's available, and know about some of infrastructure is something that always needs investment. And so we just need to figure out, how do our projects rise to the surface as you get champions behind it. You get partners like the coalition to help champion with you.
And it is all about the champions. Diane or Kimberly, could you put up that last slide for me? One of the things that Scott brought up was the importance of education and how that plays a role in the development of alternative fuels. The Clean Fuels Foundation, the Clean Fuels Alliance of America, they support the GWRCC in doing educational programs like this. They're supporting the GWRCC is the coordinator for the Maryland Biofuels Task Force. And one of the things that the task force is doing is a report looking at the situation in Maryland. While it's GWRCC does all alternative fuels, Maryland has a bit of a unique situation, and a group decided to drill into that. One of the things we're doing is checking on the education out there, the level of awareness that consumers have, and policymakers. So if you guys could use your phone and be our focus group to start this off, to make sure it all works before we go to the conference this week, you can use that QR code with your phone, and please take the survey, and that'll be a great step in helping us continue the education and awareness project. GWRCC encompasses Baltimore, and we're working on the Clean Fuels Advisory Board in Northern Virginia. That market is bigger than New York City, so it's a market to be reckoned with. And the Clean Cities program has done an amazing job of bringing stakeholders together, understanding their challenges and their needs, and meeting them. So it's been it's always been a great time working with Clean Cities and all the members, and we look forward to helping everyone. If anybody has any questions for the chat box, we can open this up.
Hey, Burl, I wanted to mention too that we are giving away a $100 gift card with regard to this consumer survey at the end of the Mako conference at the end of the week. So if people do participate, they will have an opportunity potentially to get a $100 Sheets gift card.
And there you go, accelerating the development and deployment of biodiesel. Are there any questions in the chat box?
There aren't any questions in the chat box.
Okay, I'll turn it back over to Antoine. Antoine?
All right, let's put our hands together for this wonderful panel. Again, happy International Biodiesel Day. Also, we want to send a special thank you to the Clean Fuels Foundation. They're an amazing partner for the organization, doing a lot of great work to promote biofuels, sustainable aviation fuel. If you want to learn more about this, make sure that you join us on October 23rd at Martin's Crosswinds. We're going to have 3 panels on that afternoon that focus on biofuels, everything from fleets to airports, also some sustainable aviation fuel, some natural gas stuff as well. I see Maureen is on. Hi, Maureen. Hope you're doing well. And so we're looking forward. So save the date, October 23rd. You can register right on our website at gwrccc.org. If you are a member of the organization, you save on your registration. If you're not a member, you can join today. I see someone joined during the meeting. So let's keep pushing, and want to thank everyone for being here. Lastly, I will say that on Thursday, we'll have our monthly industry meeting. We'll have some more funding updates, as you heard today. We'll also talk about corporate responsibility as well, what corporations are doing to meet some of the environmental challenges that we face, and how you can get involved with those opportunities as well. We'll also talk a little bit about some of the local, state, and federal landscape on clean transportation issues and how you can get involved. As you do, as I mentioned earlier in the chat, I will reiterate that please sign. We have a sign-on letter to help get funding for clean city and community organizations from here to Hawaii. Takes only 2 minutes to sign that advocacy letter. We need more people to do that. If you can sign that today, it'd be greatly appreciated. Without further ado, I want to thank our team. I want to thank our speakers. You all have an amazing day. And let's always remember that the best way that we protect our environment is the carbon that we don't use or burn.